lead. There you go. We got news.
Hey everybody, I'm Lowrey in the WSMV4 Now studio. We are streaming tonight for several hours because we're going to bring you all of the updates for everything that's happened today on Election Day. I've got Kent Syler with us. He is one of our political extraordinaire people with decades of experience in politics. And just as we were coming on in the streaming studio moments ago,
right?
We have news. So I want to first tell you, share this news with you. Give me a moment as I pull it up. Here is the news, my friends. Governor Bill Lee has already been projected the winner tonight. And here we are at 4 minutes after the hour. The polls only just recently closed in Tennessee.
It may be a record. I mean, there's certainly no surprise. Bill Lee took the race seriously. If you've been, we have all seen the ads. His opponent didn't have really the money or
Zero.
the ability.
I feel like I
Jason
never
Martin
saw
was
one.
a good Democratic candidate, but it was just an impossible hill to climb. So.
Yeah, I had family in town even this weekend, and they said, we're seeing all of these political ads for Governor Bill Lee. Where are the political ads for his challenger? Surely he has a challenger. And I said, well, you're not seeing the money being spent right now.
Yeah, you're not. And, Bill Lee didn't take this that lightly. I was a little surprised at the amount of spending he actually did. He emptied his bank account. Took it very seriously, and it's going to pay off in a big win.
Oh, I think there's no question it's going to pay off for sure. And here we are again already that Bill Lee is the projected winner here tonight in the governor's race. Kent, let's talk about some of the other big races or big issues tonight.
Sure.
One of the things that we've been covering for several days now here at WSMV is this issue of the way Davidson County, basically the District 5 being restructured in a way that people were going to the wrong polling places. They didn't know where to go. They were showing up today at the wrong places and weren't able to vote, even getting the wrong ballots today. There's been a lot of issues.
It was confusing, and the legislature did a lot of work to make it that confusing, quite honestly. I mean, so Davidson County has been one congressional district for potentially centuries, for a long time. It was a Democratic district. In order to pick up one more seat across Tennessee, Republicans control 7 of 9 seats going into tonight. There's an attempt to break Davidson County, crack it, gerrymander it into 3 separate districts that they're betting they can win all 3. So we'll watch really the 5th tonight, the new 5th, and the 7th. So both of those have competitive Democrats. And we're going to get a baseline, really, of how these new districts look. These will be this is the first election in these new districts.
Yeah, we've had so many of our reporters, too, also talking about, basically talking with people who made it to the polls today, being turned away. I want to take one of these stories from one of our reporters earlier tonight. First of all, here's Michael Warwick. Listen to his report tonight.
Marius, we're outside.
Just kidding.
Well, it's
Here's
here
this
at
one.
the Bellevue Public Library. One poll worker guessed 70% of all the people who came here to vote were shown the door instead of a ballot because this wasn't their precinct. With voting the top priority for a majority of Middle Tennesseans, it took an extra drive for hundreds of Davidson County voters tonight.
I was really kind of shocked at how unbusy they are. And maybe it's because we're all being booted to another precinct.
The County Election Commission tells us at 2 particular places, the Bellevue Public Library and Southeast Library, more than half of voters were at the wrong precinct.
This stuff happens. If whatever is motivating you to come out to vote shouldn't stop you from going to driving a little bit or walking a little bit.
The reason being, the Election Commission says, is that those locations were early voting spots, but today, standalone precincts. Dee Dee Spiva had voted at the Bellevue Library for years, but came today like dozens of others, not knowing this was no longer her precinct.
It's heartbreaking to think that a senior might come here, get that word, and then go back home and not be able to vote.
Another issue election leaders say are long lines at Brook Hollow Baptist, Morgan Park, and WYCA, requiring them to send in more voting machines. Here at the Bellevue Library, for voters like Michael Butler and Spiva who had to go elsewhere, the added step was just part of the process.
I don't believe this should dissuade anybody if they switch polling places.
Well, it's a one right that I have that hopefully nobody can take away from me.
And unfortunately, for at least a handful of voters, they told me once they were turned away, they decided to go home instead. A reminder from the poll workers here, always check your voter ID card. We're live tonight. Michael Warwick, WSMV4.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Now you can hear me. Again, that was from Michael Warwick. He was reporting live earlier tonight during our 6 o'clock hour. This is just part of the issue, right? So many people showing up, not knowing exactly where to go, realizing their polling place had changed, and some of them waited in lines and then get to the end of their lunch hour and they can't do anything else.
You know, I know I waited in line an hour today to vote in Murfreesboro, and so you don't really know you're wrong until you waited through the line and find it. You know, there are places in Nashville where you can look one way and you'll be in one district, you'll turn around, look the other, and you're in the other district, and and you're in the third, third part of it. So it's no wonder that there's some confusion, and hopefully as you work through this redistricting process for future elections, we won't have this.
So we already know the results of one of the big races tonight. If you're just joining us, Governor Bill Lee is already the projected winner tonight. As soon as polls closed right at 7 o'clock, by 7:03, we had gotten this news tonight. I do want to bring in one of our friends that is giving us reporting tonight. I don't know, Tosin Fakile, are you able to hear me already? Okay, awesome. You are at Governor Bill Lee's headquarters. He's not even there yet for his own party. What's the vibe tonight in his party, knowing that he's already the projected winner?
Is high just a few minutes ago when the AP called the race for Governor Bill Lee. There was a little bit of a cheer here as people were super excited to hear that news. I can tell you this room is a lot fuller than it was. We've been going live at 4 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, and the room is a lot fuller at the moment with a lot of supporters for Governor Bill Lee. I've been looking around in this room just to see if there are any legislators in the room. Right now, the person speaking behind me is I just want to make sure the Commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. He's a cabinet member for Governor Bill Lee. He just got on stage. His job tonight is to just get the crowd energized, get the ball rolling here, but also introduce the governor when he gets here. And now that the race has been called for him, earlier we were told the governor will be here about 8. Maybe he might get here a little sooner. But from jump, Governor Bill Lee has been called the favorite in this race against his Democratic candidate, Jason Martin. They both never actually got to debate each other at any point as they were campaigning. And, during his time as governor, while he was campaigning, the governor kept touting the fact that, he has helped Tennessee stay fiscally sound, touted that Tennessee is a good place for businesses, and he plans to continue to let that happen. But the governor did get a lot of backlash from some of the things he's done in the last 4 years as governor. One of those includes open carry law that he signed into law, and also the very, very strict abortion ban that he signed recently. But I do have to tell you, this place is really energetic. We're hearing people clapping, we're hearing people cheering, and once the governor gets here, once he gets his speech, obviously we'll bring that live to you. But like you said a few minutes ago, the AP called the race for Governor Bill Lee, and that was pretty quick. It was just about 4 or 5 minutes before the race closed. Back to you.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Tosin, as you stand there and you watch all of the people starting to come into that room. I know you've been covering this for quite some time. Kent, what questions do you have for Tosin tonight?
Tosin, it looks like it's a lot more full. It's filled up a lot just since you started to record. It's kind of one of those, if you don't get there early for the victory party, you're going to miss it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're not here once the festivities start, you're probably going to miss it and be on the outside. I wish I could just pan the camera for you. There's a lot of people to that side, a lot of people to my left. People still actually, Kent, in the hallway, just like waiting. There's some food outside and people in the hallway talking, discussing, having conversations. But I'm telling you, people are super excited to be here to support the governor. And there's a prayer that's about to go on right now.
All right, Tosin, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We're going to check back in with you as the governor begins to make his way to that area again. Let's just make sure this is muted. All right, let's keep going. As we were mentioning, the governor has been already projected the winner of this race. This is definitely the big result. I know for me personally, I was very surprised that it happened so quickly. we were expecting, even from our vantage point, as you know, here we are in the newsroom, we're thinking maybe by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we didn't
we'll
think we'd have a lot to
projected.
talk about right now, did we? We didn't think there'd be a lot happening, but you know, it was never in doubt, and it was called very quickly. And so I think the Governor Lee's supporters are trying to catch up
Yeah.
with the call, and you know, we've got some more races we can keep watching.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say this was never in doubt. I find that intriguing, because when we in politics say something is not in doubt, what is the split at that point? Is that like a 53-47 split, or what is never in doubt?
That's probably 2/3, 1/3, 60-40. You know, Bill Lee had all the advantages, and this is, I believe, the 5th governor that's been able to run for a second term.
Oh, wow.
And they've never lost. So history was certainly against him. Governors in Tennessee that have, since Tennessee was able to run for a second term, they've all won, and they've all won convincingly. There hasn't been a close one.
Okay, so this is fascinating to me. I am not a native Tennessean. I did not know that Tennessee governors weren't always able to run for a second term.
No, not until they changed it in 1974.
Wow.
Well, Ray Blanton was 74 to 78, but when Blanton got to 78, he couldn't run for a second term because he had a rough time. He was on his way. Alexander started the tradition. He served 8 years. Every governor since 1978 has served 8 years.
Wow, that's interesting. And you know, it's no secret that Tennessee is a red state, a very red state, like a garnet, ruby red.
It has gotten redder. Yeah, there's been before. There had been a couple of Democratic governors, Ned McWhirter the first, and Phil Bredesen. Both of them served 8-year terms of 16 years. But the Republicans have put the flag down pretty well lately.
Yeah, I would say so. And again, if you're just joining us here on our streaming channels, as we are WSMV4 Now studio, the early voting totals are starting to be released. At this point, the only projected winner we have so far is the governor of Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee. He is the projected winner. We got that news at about 7:03. It is 7:16 right now. It did surprise all of us with its speed. As we continue to talk, I just want to show you this live picture that is happening right now. This is is obviously not Governor Bill Lee at the podium, but this is Governor Bill Lee's basically acceptance party. It's his party for after the whole campaign.
Yeah, and those are fun. I mean, I was able to go to them and with my former boss and candidates I worked with, and you know, they are much more fun when you win. And
I would say so.
When you know early, you're not stressed. You can just enjoy the party.
Yeah. You know, speaking of party, I just kind of want to give you this dichotomy. Okay, just go with me here. Just a moment ago, we were talking with Tosin. Tosin saw, you know, all the people that were there. The party is happening. So once again, here's the live picture of the party. Let me show you this other live picture. This is basically the Democratic campaign after party. And there's no one there, right? Because at this point, we don't know what there may be to celebrate for the Democratic Party. Again, going back to Bill Lee's after party, it is certainly very active already tonight.
It is, and it's tough. I've been at, parties where we won, parties when we lost. We don't call them parties then.
Yeah, right.
I've been, and I remember my first one, and I tell my students this from time to time. I was a sound truck driver in 1978 for Bob Clement, running for the Democratic nomination for governor. His party was at the Opryland Hotel. And I remember going out there early in the day and seeing all of these netted balloons. And
in preparation, right?
In preparation for the balloon drop, and wondering, will I ever see these balloons fall?
Wow.
And I didn't. I was there during the concession speech, and I was looking up at those balloons.
Just waiting for them,
Yeah.
right? Wow. Yeah, it's interesting as we talk about, what the night might hold. We know that, again, Governor Bill Lee is the projected winner, but we still have other major things. One of the things you and I have not spoken yet about is this issue that was on the ballot about taking slavery out of the Tennessee state constitution.
Yeah, there were 4 different amendments today, and that's one of the things that slowed down voting a little bit, because when you got there and you started reading them, some of them were 3 or 4 pages long.
Yeah.
And so if you hadn't done it before you got there, it was really going to slow things down. So yeah, we'll be watching those. There's one on right to work. There's one on really codifying how if we have a governor that is disabled for a short
Right.
amount of time and unable to serve, the lieutenant governor could step in and then go back
Right.
to his or her previous job. So there's some decent house cleaning and some other things on there.
Let's talk about right to work specifically. Let's talk about what the issue is, and then also what you forecast to happen in Tennessee with this issue.
Yeah, we have Tennessee's a right to work state. You can work and not be forced to join a union.
Right.
This is, I guess, taking it a step further. It's one of probably the more controversial ones on the ballot this time. There was some opposition to it. I would imagine it gets a plurality and comes up. It's kind of another Republican-Democratic issue. Republicans are going to be more apt to vote for it. Probably, as we've seen with Bill Lee's quick result, more than likely a lot more Republicans voted than Democrats.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens with that one. There's something else that you and I haven't yet spoken about, but we'll get to it in just a little bit because it is 7:20 right now, and you guys, we're going to be here all night long. It makes me want to sing Lionel Richie. We will be here all night long doing this for you up through 10 o'clock tonight as we, just let you know what's happened here in the mid-state and across the state, I should say, as we wait for polls to as we wait for results to come in here tonight.
Yeah. And it could be, if there's a line at the polling place, you're in line at 7 o'clock, you get to vote, and they're not going to release any of these numbers until everyone's voted.
Right.
So I really want to see 5th district races, Heidi Campbell and Andy Ogles. And I want to see what's going on between Mark Green and Odessa Kelly up in the 7th. So those are what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, I want to talk when we come back, because it's 7:21 right now. So when we come back in just a little bit, let's start off with Heidi Campbell and Andy Ogles.
And maybe we have some numbers.
And maybe we'll have some numbers next time too. So you guys, again, Lauren Lowrey, Kent Syler, we're here in the WSMV4 Now studio, streaming all night long for you as we get those results in. We will come back to you pretty soon. Stand by while I get my little closing overlay here. All right, you guys, we'll see you soon.